You are listening to Radiant Creators, a collaborative project composed of people whose passion, purpose, and dedication requires forging their own unique path of empowerment and livelihood. A radiant creator isn't making a living, they are living.
Bedtime stories. Thanks everybody for logging in. Of course, this is Radiant Creators, and we're doing a live stream right now. Of course, also recording this. We're talking to bedtime stories, and we're going to get into the people behind bedtime stories who create it. I'll be asking some questions, and of course, the audience out there who's on the live stream, they'll be asking questions. And when you type your questions, it does help if you type some of it or all of it in all caps. That just makes it easier for the person collecting questions to see it. And then they'll send them over to me, and I'll make sure that we get as many of those as we can in. And I'm glad everybody is drinking, because that definitely helps. So, an icebreaker. All right, we've got Mikey here, we've got Rich here, we have Simon here, the men behind the bedtime stories. Here's an icebreaker. Now, you guys did a bedtime story on Men in Black, and I'm curious, after doing a story on Men in Black, did you guys ever get a visit from someone, from a man in black? Did you guys ever have anything strange happen? That's quite the eclectic topic to take on. Thanks for being here.
No, can't say we did. Can't say we did. Not sure about Simon being a policeman and all that kind of thing, but we didn't.
Okay, so nobody got a visit from a man in black after doing one on Men in Black. Okay, well, all right. That kind of invalidates the reality of Men in Black. Then I guess they're not quite so scary. So, the creators of bedtime stories. So we've got you guys here, Mikey, Rich, and Simon. These are the creators of bedtime stories. I guess starting with whoever wants to start first, who are the creators of bedtime stories? A little bit about yourselves.
Right. Go on, Simon. You can go first. It's fine.
No, it's
Go
your
on,
brand.
Simon.
It's
Simon,
basis.
go
You go-
first.
It's the Rich Show. You go first.
Come on, Simon.
Okay, so I'm Rich. I'm the narrator of bedtime stories. I also do the editing and animation, all the production, sound design, that kind of thing. So I don't know what to say about myself really, other than I'm a bit of a nerd. I used to be in a band. I've always been quite creative. I used to be a singer in a band, play guitar and stuff. So yeah, that's me. Mikey?
Yeah. Can tell a lot about myself. I'm Mikey, the artist, the guy who draw all the drawings for the channel. And what I can say about me more, I don't know. I just draw and draw.
You draw and draw. Do you, as far as your artistic projects right now, of course, one is bedtime stories, but are you doing any other stuff?
Yeah, I'm working on another commissions when I have, of course, free time, because the episodes took almost all the time I have. But also, when I have some free time, I try to learn new skills to develop myself in this area, kind of like that.
How many? So you've been drawing ever since you were a kid, basically. I think if I remember seeing your bio right, you've always been drawing something.
Yeah, as I remember, I was drawing since I was a kid. In little kids, like about 5-6 years. At that time, I thought I'm the most amazing artist, but now I see the truth. So I'm not the most amazing artist. So it's a long way, There's always space to improve.
Oh yeah, well, let's say you might be more amazing than you think. Everybody who watches bedtime stories that I know, definitely one of the real things that make it is all three parts of it, of course, but definitely the art is one of the foundations, one of the real effects, some of the power that it has. So, Simon, who are you?
I'm the very much the relative who only turns up at weddings and funerals. You've got Rich, who writes the theme tune, sings the theme tune, does the voiceover, is a very public forward face. You've got Mikey's artwork, which everybody raves about. And hidden away at the back of the office in a dungeon, you have the writing contingent, which is me, who passes on the bare bones, which the magicians get to finalise and put out to everybody. I'm the unsung hero and most modest member of the Bedtime Stories team.
I like it. I like it. Well, Bedtime Stories itself, I mean, now, how did Bedtime Stories become Bedtime Stories? I mean, it has a bit of it's started fairly recently, the last couple of years. So what is the story of Bedtime Stories, it coming into creation?
Well, obviously, as the founder of the channel, the genesis of Bedtime Stories really goes back to the early noughties. It was something that me and my brother always wanted to do as a hobby. We were going to set up a website with me writing the stories, and he was like a really talented artist. He could do sort of the charcoal and sort of pencil style really well. So he was going to do these little sketches to accompany the stories that I wrote. And we talked about this, for forever practically. But as life gets in the way of making other plans, we just never got around to it. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2014 unexpectedly. And after the grieving process and everything, I just kind of made a conscious decision to realize that dream that we had together. So I spent the next 2 years writing material, writing transcripts and whatever else. And then in 2016, I started looking for an artist who could kind of match his style. And that turned out to be Mikey. In fact, met Mikey through a freelancer site. And originally, obviously, things had moved on by then. The website idea went out the window and we just focused on YouTube. But originally, Mikey was just going to do the art for the thumbnails. But because he was so quick at doing them, and I just thought maybe we could do this all the way through the episode, and that's kind of how the idea was born. And it just sort of everything fell into place, and we uploaded the first video in 2017.
And how did Scully come to be? So Mikey didn't actually create Scully then, but Scully is quite the icon of Bedtime Stories.
Yeah, that was actually done through. It was because I was a marketing executive, and I was still a marketing executive up until 2019. I quit that job in July of that year. But obviously, being in a position, I knew quite a lot of graphics designers, and one of my mates who was working in the same company that I was working, I'm still in touch with him now, and he does quite a lot of work. He's designed the covers for the Bedtime Stories books, but yeah, he's the guy who did the Scully emblem.
Okay. So I see audience questions coming in. So here's one for Mikey. I got a little list of things here, but I'll definitely throw these audience questions in so that we stay interactive. So for the artist, Mikey, what artists are your biggest inspirations? Or maybe let's say current inspirations. That makes it a little easier sometimes.
Well, of course, I like Frank Frazetta. I think everybody knows Frank Frazetta, right? Bayard Wu, Wang Wei, Leo Hao, many others. There are many, but these guys are, for me, I think, the best.
And then, so the love of creepy stories. It's one thing when I look at the description of Bedtime Stories, I see it says, who doesn't like a creepy story? So I guess really for Rich or anyone else who this fits, how did the love of creepy stories evolve? I mean, was that something as a kid you just liked creepy stories? I mean, because it seems that it's too much of a natural talent for it not to be a real passion, obviously. So can you tell us the story of the love of creepy stories?
Well, I'm a big fan of this 14 times. So I've got subscriptions and I get them every month. But not only that, when I was growing up, I used to love, there was a show in the UK called Strange But True. And I don't know whether you for any US viewers or whatever, I don't know if you'd have heard of it, but it was a really show back in the day, and I think it was a bit like Unsolved Mysteries. A lot of people have said that we're a bit like Unsolved Mysteries, but honestly I've never watched an episode of that. But yeah, it was strange but true for me. It was a big influence, and X-Files and Outer Limits. Love those shows, and plus obviously the 14 times. Not sure about Simon and Mikey, but
yeah. Okay. Well, Simon, like your love of creepy stories and also your ability to so uniquely write them. Where'd that inspiration come from?
I'm not sure it's unique. Damning the phrase there. Again, as Rich says, we sort of, two of the channels over here, BBC Two and Channel 4, used to sort of bulk a lot of American programs, sort of Star Trek, Next Generation, Simpsons, that kind of thing, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they would sort of put them on TV at 6 o'clock. So we'd come home from school, and then be sort of, your parents would be there trying to watch the news, and you'd be like fighting to get the TV control off and put on that. And stuff like the X-Files, the Outer Limits coming over, that whole idea of taking a story and just hammering that one story for 60 minutes and sort of adding the element of this might be true, as opposed to the element of, oh, it can't be true, it's not possibly true. And at the end of it, just forming your own opinion on it. And I think that's one of the reasons why audiences of our generation connect with this, because we don't start a story off and tell people how it is. And by the end of it, we've probably looked at both sides of the coin. And we leave the audience to make their own mind up. I mean, I'm conscious when I'm writing some stories, I don't believe them. Other ones, I write them and I fully believe them. But the main thing is for us not to steer the audience. It's the audience where they go with it.
I like that. So, Mikey, I guess your love of creepy stories, how'd that evolve? But also, it seems that you like writing, I should say the artwork for the cryptids you mentioned.
Yes, well, of course I like the art. What I can say, I especially like like dark art also. But of course I like that it involves many creatures and many stories. Also, mystery, kind of like this.
Yeah. Does any of your artwork scare you? Because some of the cryptids that you've drawn, they're pretty damn horrifying. I mean, you really captured just, I think, a terrifying monster in those. I mean, when you're actually creating those, do they ever give you the creeps?
To be honest, not really.
No? You're in control. All right.
Well, actually, the old I drew in a video old woman, a very scary old woman. So that's kind of creepy for me, because for me it's like in real life you can see a really old creepy woman, like a witch, something like that.
Dabso was that, I think, or the Dachau. I can't remember how you pronounce it, but the Hmong, the one that was killing all the Hmong men in
the Night
in the
Hag.
US. Yeah, that's it. The Night Hag. That's the one. Yeah. But it's the same for me. I was going to say, like, obviously, yes, having 5 children, I can't record the narration until everybody's gone to bed. So I'm literally up until 1 o'clock in the morning, probably 2 o'clock, doing the narration, and it's really quiet around here. And yeah, that gets a bit creepy as well.
Yeah, I imagine, because you're actually in a little closet. Like you have some sound boards you put up, and you put a kind of a curtain over you. So you're in this little booth, and you're telling the bedtime stories and recording them. And then, of course, you're staying up late, and then you go to bed. So that must make for some just unique dreams, or maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. But the worst nightmares, because I have my dog in the corner who keeps me company, and the worst one is when he lets off, when he farts. It's disgusting.
Wow. All right. Well, from the audience, how did you guys come up with the theme music? That theme music, it's powerful. Everybody loves it. I think when the show starts, It's kind of like the X-Files. When the X-Files started, everybody went, oh, this is a theme, you know? Then it says the truth is out there and you get this boom, you know? And it's kind of a similarity between that X-Files start and bedtime stories start, where you get excited because you're going to hear the theme again. So where did that come from?
This is probably going to disappoint quite a lot of people, but that's not our theme tune. That's a guy called Kevin MacLeod, who's quite a well-known guy who does quite a lot of music for, well, not just horror, but all kinds of genres. Yeah, that's his tune, and quite a few people have used that before. So, you know, unfortunately, it was just one that stuck out to me when I was looking for music to use. It was copyright-free, royalty-free, and yeah, I just thought that sounds exactly like the tone that I'm trying to capture with the channel. So, you know.
yeah, but you know, it wasn't yours until you guys used it. Now it is yours, you know, so it fits. It's very powerful. It does. It really works. It gets you kicked off for the show. You go, yes, there it is. There's a theme. And so from the audience, and it's a question I had anyway. So it kind of, it's very efficient. What are your favorite? Now, this is probably a question you guys get asked too much, and I know that you probably do, but we can ask it here and then we'll document it forever. Okay, so you won't have to be asked this question again. What, for each of you, what are your favorite bedtime stories? Now, one of the reasons people ask this, I think, really is because maybe which are your favorites, or a favorite, or something you really like about one. It tells the audience, it tells people a little bit about you. You know what I mean? So something about an episode that really speaks to you, or a favorite episode, one you particularly got into, you know.
Simon, you can go first on this one.
Thank you.
You're the writer.
I can go first, guys.
Oh, all right, Mikey, let's hear it.
This is always the way. The writer always ends up at the back of the list. Please take the artist first.
I was just, you know, thinking now what episode. I know this question was, so I was thinking what was my favorite episode. So I think the ghost of Uber 65. You know that episode? It reminds me of that movie. You know, Das Boot. I don't know, it kind of reminds me, you know, this feeling when you are at the bottom of the ocean and you can't escape from there. That's really creepy for me.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, Das Boot is about as dark as it gets, so it's not a cheery movie, but powerful. Okay, Simon.
For me, Yuba City was the first video I stumbled across, completely unrelated, that got me to the channel. And I think having sort of answered this question before, most people who like the channel have a video that was their sort of gateway drug that they sort of came across and then just ended up binging everything afterwards. So Yuba City was the one that snared me. First episode as a writer was Berkeley Square, and it was Barclay Square. Sorry. It was quite humbling to have sort of gone through this process of being hired by the channel and putting a script in and seeing that brought to life. But then having said that, the next one I wrote was Dab So, the Night Hag, and that hag that Mikey drew terrified the hell out of me as well. But yeah, that UB65 was the first one that I wrote that I had a really big feeling of satisfaction at the end of that. So I'm shamelessly scabbing off Mikey here, but yeah, same ones.
And then Rich.
For me, it's the Flannan Isles, because I don't know, it's a mystery I read when I was a kid, and I just something really chills me about that one. I know there's kind of rational explanations that you could go into, freak waves and all that kind of thing, but it's just like these three men secluded so far away from the mainland. They're all completely on their own, and they just disappear, and it's like this big mystery. And I don't, you know, we don't really know, and I don't think we'll ever know what happened to them. But aside from that, just for how crazy it is, at Skinwalker Ranch as well, I'd say that one, and Dyatlov Pass actually as well.
Yeah, Dyatlov Pass is definitely creepy, and Skinwalker Ranch, that one, you know, since it's not too far from here, it's definitely something that's very fun when you're here in America, if you're in this part of the country, to drive by it and just get really creeped out. Hope nothing follows you home. Yeah. I'm glad you guys did a 2-part series on that, the Skinwalker Ranch, because it is an ongoing creepy place. So,
And
well,
can I just drop in there as well?
Yes.
I was going to say, because we did this in the dry run, so I'm going to drop it in anyway. We've got another ranch episode coming up, which nobody's heard of. It's very similar to Skinwalker, but very creepy in a different way. And it's another ranch in the US in, I believe it's Montana. Yeah, nobody would have heard of this one. I stumbled across it by fluke, but it's coming up soon. It's going to be another 2-parter, and it is really creepy, really freaky stuff happening there.
Oh, we're definitely looking forward to that. Well, some of you guys really captured with the Skinwalker Ranch, and you also captured with the recent show you guys did about strange things the Border Patrol have encountered. You guys really had a way of capturing the creepiness of the desert, because while I'm speaking to you from the Sonoran Desert, there's saguaros only a couple of feet from where I'm sitting, and the desert is a creepy place. How is it just by chance that you guys captured it so well, or have you guys spent time in a desert, have been infatuated with deserts? Because you're able to capture just the damn creepiness that exists in deserts.
I mean, we don't tend to have a lot of desert here in the UK. I can't speak for Rich or Mikey. I certainly don't have a lot of desert experience myself. But we sort of nailed it before in There's Something in the Mountains as well, which is another episode that we had really positive reactions to, the idea that there's this strange force that robs people and shoots them in the head in the middle of a mountain range. And I think I don't think it's the way we write it. I think it's just that content just captures people's imagination. They fill the blanks in themselves. I don't think it's anything to do particularly with how we present it. I think that there is just a mystique about that content where people just engage with it more than perhaps they would. It's difficult. I'll write an episode, or myself and Rich will talk about an episode which we think is going to be a surefire hit, and we'll put it out afterwards and then go, oh, okay, that didn't go that well. And then we'll put out something relatively mundane and people go bananas about it. So it can be a bit hit and miss really in terms of content.
I get it. Yeah. Well, maybe it's so that you guys leave space, a little bit of room for the imagination, and that kind of, and we just fill in the creepiness. I have to also say the artwork, Mikey. Yes, the artwork definitely lends to feeling the creepiness of the desert. You know.
I got to say, I'm glad you like the desert stuff, because I thought our expertise was into like snowscapes and things. I thought we always captured like the kind of tundra really well. But yeah, you know, it's always good to hear that feedback on other sort of environments.
Oh yeah.
And in all fairness, we were helped on the border episode by the source material, which is a book by a former border agent called Rocky Elmore, which we lifted from that quite heavily, and it's his writing that makes that episode realistically.
We didn't rip him off though. Don't. We didn't plagiarize. Just the record.
Do we need to consult legal about this before we put this out?
Yeah. Well, you guys caught a little bit of feedback on that one. People weren't happy with some of the terminology and such. But I know, living here in the desert and being very close to the border, it's pretty much what everybody refers to everything as. So it's strange that you guys caught a little bit of, you guys got some negative feedback on that one.
Yeah, we can understand there's a sensitivity around certain terminology, but at the end of the day, there's only so many ways you can say migrant. It's a difficult one, really. I mean, you just got to go with what we wanted to capture what the guy in the book, Rocky Elmore, was saying, and he described him in that way. So we were just trying to channel his experience, and unfortunately, if what he wrote offends people, you're always going to offend somebody, or somebody's going to take offense on behalf of somebody else. But I mean, we can't control that. I mean, it's for us, it's standard terminology. We haven't really got a horse in that race anyway. I mean, we're Brits. We don't have anything to do with the whole situation on the border. So, it's a difficult one.
If we're going to feature a story, ultimately we're going to use the terminology of the people involved in that story. It's more of a reflection of the fact that modern audiences can't watch something and just enjoy it for what it is without having to jump on a keyboard afterwards and sort of take issue with it than anything else. When we go to certain subjects and write them, we're aware that they're going to be polarizing and people are going to have strong feelings about it. But ultimately, we're just presenting a story. I know ultimately when I put some material in, Rich is the handbrake on it. We don't play politics. we don't chase after current affairs or ambulance chase or anything like that. We just present stories. If people want to take issues with those stories, that's for them to do, realistically. But we're not dog whistling. We're not trying to push people either way.
No, I got you. Well, living next to a border town, I can say that I didn't even think about it when I watched it. I went, well, yeah, that's, usually we call them those people out in the desert that are cruising along, trying not to succumb to the elements, What happened? Here's a question from the audience here. What happened to the graphic novel contest winner?
It's finished. It's all done. And we said, can we share it on the channel? And he said, I want to keep it for myself. So I'm going to try and ask him if he'll let us share the cover at least. But yeah, I don't know if you're aware of this. We did a graphic novella competition where somebody won, they submitted their story or synopsis sorry, I can't speak. Synopsis of a story. And then we did a 10-page graphic novella based on their ideas. But yeah, he wants it to remain private. So, I mean, that's completely his choice.
And when it comes to controversial shows that may have done, I have to ask you guys. So you did a Third Reich series, a couple episodes on that, which I thought were really cool because everyone is interested in the bell. We all wonder, like, what was that thing? Did you guys get feedback from that? Did that trigger anybody, or was it just history? Creepy history?
Not that I recall. I don't think. I mean, that series is still ongoing. Actually, we've got another episode in the work called The Spear of Longinus, and I think
yes.
Simon. Yeah, there's a few more that Simon wants to write as well. But yeah, it just kind of stalled because we weren't seeing a lot of engagement on those videos compared to other ones. So we just put the brakes on it a little bit, and we're probably going to space out a little bit more. And it's the same with nautical series as well. There's quite a few left in the nautical series that we want to look at and do. But again, the engagement kind of went down. I think series within the series have a problem with engagement. I don't know. I think people just say, well, I haven't seen the first part, so I'm not going to watch the second part, even though they're not related in any way. There's no chronology to them. They're just, different.
Well, that may be.
It's odd that the episodes that invite controversy tend to be the more recent ones, and I think there's been enough time that's elapsed since World War II that there's not much sort of debate or controversy about it anymore. Ironically, it was one of the nautical episodes where I think we'd made mention of, I think it was John McCain, and again, it just triggered people, like they just lost their minds in the chat on it, and it was like we just mentioned the bloke's name and just chill out. Really, why are you shouting at us?
Oh, that's funny. Well, I'm in Arizona. He just lived down the street back when he was around. I mean, who'd get mad? Nobody liked him anyway. So anyway, but with that said, along with what you guys are commenting on just now, of course, you have series that don't seem to get quite the same engagement, but along with that, and of course, you do have a cool one coming up soon about a ranch that is undisclosed yet. I'll rephrase the way the person asked this question a little bit from the audience. Are there any stories that you're kind of sitting on because you're just not sure if there's something you want to bring forth? Do you guys have scripts that you go, I just don't know if we want to touch this one?
Yeah, there's quite a few of those actually. I know. Like before the whole Netflix thing, we wanted to do something on Madeleine McCann at one point, and then I thought maybe not because it didn't really fit with the tone of the channel. We wanted to the true crime stuff and things like that. They don't seem to gel as well as the more supernatural sort of creepy phenomenon. Not only that, it's a really controversial subject. So I think we decided against that one, and there was a few others as well. But those were to do with the fact that they mentioned suicide, and unfortunately YouTube has an issue with anything to do with suicide. Demonetized straight away. So yeah.
No, I hear you.
Not that we're in it just for the money, but
oh yeah,
you know what I mean. It's
reversing.
No,
yeah.
it's just that not only that, I mean, you kind of get shadow banned as well, so you don't see there's much engagement on stuff that's demonetized.
No, it's definitely true. And along with the shadow banning, it's something that our channel's experienced too. where if you say the wrong thing on the wrong topic, you might get demonetized. But even if you don't, you start wondering, hey, what's going on? No one seems to care about us anymore. So no, it's good to stay on the straight and narrow, because it is YouTube after all.
What is odd is when we do something and then suddenly sort of a year or 2 years later it blows up and we never expected it. Like we sort of put Blackbird of Chernobyl out there. Yes. And then the next thing you know, along comes a TV series on Chernobyl, which it's not like we were sort of sat watching to see what TV series would come up. I wish we were that intelligent, we'd just jump on it, but we weren't. And then Orang Madan, it was sat gathering dust somewhere. A computer game adaptation comes out and suddenly there's a million people Googling the video and going onto it. Sometimes circumstance just overcomes us. And again, we might write something or put a script ready, put it to one side. It'll get done to death while we weren't looking, and then we'll just turn around and go, there's no point putting it out there now.
Yeah. Have you noticed that? I guess you guys probably watch your numbers, I'd imagine, to some extent. Has that been the case where a show just sits there for a while and then all of a sudden you notice massive traffic, and so you start looking around, okay, somebody must have mentioned this?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think that's how the channel got its break, really, because I did Yuba City this before Simon, because I used to write pretty much all the episodes. There's a few that were written by other people, but Simon's the main writer now. I put Yuba City out, and I remember I think we only had about 7,000 subscribers at that point, and then about months later, one of the big podcasts did an episode on it. I think it was Stuff You Should Know or something like that. It was one of those big podcasts anyway. And then I just saw this massive influx of subscribers. It went from 7,000 to 30,000 within a month, and then it just kept snowballing and snowballing. So,
Oh, here's a great question. How do you know that a story will stick out to fit the Bedtime Stories formula? It's just
normally stuff that people haven't heard. And I've noticed a lot of people want to hear stuff that they've not heard before. But, and I sympathize with people. We did the Devil's Footprints recently, and we got a lot of comments saying, oh, we've heard this story a million times. But a lot of people still want to see those stories, even though they're well known. They still want to see them in the Bedtime Stories style, if you know what I mean.
Yes. So
that's the reason we do it. And we obviously stories anyway, because they're classics. But yeah, it's normally the stories that people have never heard, and we find that there's something in the series kind of really gets good engagement for some reason. When we do there's something in the desert, there's something in the mountains, with the woods kind of thing. Yeah, those kind of things, we know we're going to get good numbers with those.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be enough material behind it. I mean, we get flooded with suggestions on a monthly basis. Everybody's got a story they want to see done, and there's a lot of true crime ones on there. There's some sort of murder ones on there, some disappearances. The point is, if there isn't enough there to have Rich talking for 20 minutes, we can't make an episode out of it. We need to have a hook at the start to pull people in. We need to have two big bodies of text to keep people going, and then a closing argument. And if you've only got one account, or if there's not any mystery around it, we just can't do it. And I suppose the Nautical Nightmare series, there's lots of ships that are sunk and they're tragic, but if there's not much or mystery to it, it's just a ship sinking. So there's got to be something in that hooks, and if it hooks Rich or if it hooks me, then we'll have a pass at it. And if we can make it work, then it gets pushed to the chain. But if it can't pull us on board, if we're not passionate about it, we can't write about it.
So it seems like if there's a bit of an open-ended mystery to it, that's part of the formula probably that makes it attractive, because a story that's easily to find from start to finish, it's not really a bedtime story. It's not really a mystery. It's just a story, So bedtime stories could almost be considered like open-ended stories. What do I see here from, here's a question that I thought about asking. I was going to put it in my notes, but I did not. And well, the audience did, so I'm going to ask it. I thought it might be too cliche, but people want to hear it, so I'm going to ask. For each of you, do you believe in the paranormal?
Who wants to go first on that one?
Isn't a question in ages. I'm not sure he's still here or not. Mikey, come
on. Yeah, Mikey hasn't talked.
What?
Do you believe in the paranormal?
Hard question for me. I can say I am a believer in paranormal activities, but at the same time, seeing some cases, some facts, I can't deny. I think there is some power in this world, some supernatural power.
I like that. So, Simon or Rich, do you believe in the paranormal?
I think that I go quite middle of the road in this. I think there's stuff that we don't understand. There's stories I've covered where I don't have an answer at the end of it, that I'm happy there's things that I don't know.
Okay, I was going to say I'd say I'm skeptical, but I've had experiences myself, and I've got loads of friends who've had experiences. My mom even has had experiences, and to be honest, I can't not believe my mom. I can tell by, I've known her all my life. If she tells me that something happened, I know when she's pulling my leg, and it's the same with my best friends. I know when they're pulling my leg. If they're telling people, I'll pull it up straight away. But no, I'm a skeptic first, but I do believe, I'm open-minded about things. I'd definitely say I'm open-minded.
No, it makes sense. Is there an episode that has been inspired by the art? So for Mikey, was there something that you wanted to draw and you brought forth the idea of the episode?
No.
No.
Thanks for answering, Rich. Thanks for answering.
I know you wanted to do an episode on Chernobyl, didn't you? I think not the Blackbird of Chernobyl. You wanted to do more kind of like the creepiness surrounding the whole abandonment of this town in the middle of the night. I think you wanted to do something on that. You mentioned it quite a while back.
Well, yeah, I like such stuff, like dark rooms, like apocalyptic atmosphere, something like that. Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Wow. So the creative process of a show, what does that look like?
Okay, so Simon writes the episode, or me. I mean, I still write as well every now and then. I'd like to keep the it's like working out, I suppose. So that takes about a week, I think, for Simon to write and research the whole thing. Then he sends it to me, which I then edit. I'll go through and break it into sections and decide on what scenes we need to do. And I'll send that in a brief to Mikey. Normally an episode is probably 9 or 10 images. And the brief takes me probably a day to put together, and then Mikey draws the whole episode within a week. And then while he's doing that, I do the narration and everything else, all the sound, choosing the music and kind of things like that behind it in the background. So I'd say the whole process takes 2 to 3 weeks at the most. And we have to plan everything in advance, obviously, as we go along.
And a question just came across: how long does it take Mikey to draw the art for an episode? Maybe a way to refine that is, how long does it take Mikey on average to do a screen, like one drawing? You mentioned he's fast.
Yeah, it actually depends, really. It depends on the image. It depends how many figures. It depends, but it can normally one day, a good image, I think a day is enough. But if there are a lot of people in the image, monsters or something like that, it can take more than one day, like 2 days, even 3 days. But normally 1 day or I don't know, half day, couple of hours. It depends. It depends.
And then you're doing that digitally, of course, I can tell, because you have your glove on and your pen in your hand, which I think is very charming while you're talking to us. So, what is your medium for creating? Yeah, there we go.
I'm a magician. Yeah, you see. Yeah, of course, digitally.
And what kind of tablet are you using?
What?
Oh, what kind of tablet are you using? What kind of graphic tablet?
Wacom standard graphic tablet, nothing too fancy.
Wacom? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Wacom.
Perfect. So here's one. Uh, you guys are managing to put out a show a week on average. I'm not sure if you get one out every week, but that's the goal, is to get a weekly show. And what I have found for people who are artists, I'm gonna call you guys all artists now for the sake of brevity. I think you are. And I found that if there's any kryptonite for an artist, it's a schedule quite often. How do you guys deal with keeping that tight schedule? People who do artistic things, usually a schedule, it's like the hardest thing for them. How do you guys keep that schedule up?
It all comes down to Rich, really. It's Rich's, it's his baby, it's his brand. I think he's already touched on how much of a personal endeavor it is. I could spam him with scripts till the cows come home. Ultimately, it's him who decides when they're released and what's manageable and what order they go in, and the other things that the brand is doing to look at, rather than just putting out the week-to-week stuff. So realistically, when it goes out, depends on Rich and how tired he is and whether he can narrate or not.
Yeah, I was going to say, like lately, especially, we had quite an extended break over Christmas, and we want to get back to one episode a week, definitely. But yeah,
We will.
Was
say
that
that again?
We will, guys. We will.
We just need to get back our stride, really. I think back into our groove, kind of thing, and yeah, we'll get there.
All right. Just checking questions here. So, working as a team, it seems like, does that help you guys not get in artistic ruts? Just because there is a schedule, like a deadline. Do you find that deadlines help keep you from getting stuck in an artistic rut just because, well, there's an expectation of completing?
Not really. I mean, the point is, obviously, we want to be able to release an episode a week, as I said, and we want to be able to please the fans of the channel by doing that. But if I don't feel something's right, if for instance, if I've read one of Simon's scripts and I thought maybe this needs a bit more editing, if that pushes it back a week, then obviously I'd rather have the quality. I'd rather have the what's the word I'm looking for? I'd rather have that kind of whole package than not. I don't want to release an episode that's half-assed, if you know what I mean, half-assed. The British version. So yeah, it doesn't really have an effect. If we have to push an episode back, that's just the way it is. We have to do that. So.
It seems like you guys are kind of averaging one a week, it seems, recently. That's quite that is quite an accomplishment. So, and with 5 kids, I can't imagine it. I don't know how you do it. I guess you just you kind of master the night. You're the one who's up when everyone else is asleep creating. That's
yeah. Well, to be honest, it's not so bad because during the day I have a lot of time with the kids going to school and stuff. Obviously not during the nonsense that's going on right now, but yeah, in the night when it comes to editing and recording, definitely.
So here's a question from the audience. See what you guys think of this. How do creative differences shape the episodes? Do you ever run into issues with it? So do you ever have creative conflicts, and do they add spice to an episode? Or do you guys just all get along?
We're quite lucky in that. So when I joined the channel back in 2018, Richard put out for a writer, and he had applicants from all over the place. The channel had already blown up then, so you had Americans, sort of Australians, people just submitting scripts. As it happens, I used to live literally 20 minutes down the road from Rich. We didn't know each other prior to this happening, but he had the entire world to choose from, where he found a writer, and he just got another Gobby Midlander to write for him. And we get on relatively well. Had any major creative differences? Every so often, I will submit something, and Rich will just go, "It's not scary enough," or "I'm not feeling it," or "I'm not interested." And there are a couple of sort of scripts languishing in the dungeon of the Bedtime Stories offices at the back that are unused. They might potentially get resurrected in the books moving forward, but ultimately it's Rich's final decision. If I produce something and he's not happy with it, then it won't go forward. And I'm assuming it's the same for the artwork. If Mikey submits something that's not good enough, it goes back to him.
Yeah. But there's no like arguments or heated kind of debates, unless we're talking about COVID-19.
Wow. Well, will there be a COVID-19 bedtime story?
No.
Only if you live stream the entire creation of it.
I think one of the things that, I mean, it got me when I came to the channel was the fact that Rich had recorded a making of video, and you got to see him and you got to see his sort of face, his environment, how it was, and you could actually see the people behind the channel, which you don't necessarily find on the channels. And since then, Mikey's put a couple of videos out of how he does the process. And I think it's what people want to see. They want to see the face behind it. They want to see the working process behind it. And it's one of the reasons why people come back to it.
And if people join your Patreon, some of your creative process is noted there. You guys do put examples. I know like Mikey did of the progression of a drawing. And and then some of your writings that you're working on, editing and such like that. So if people do have that interest, well, the Patreon is where they can find, more of that. Here's one from the audience. Do you guys ever have a concern that you will run out of stories?
There's thousands and thousands of stories, to be honest. We've got a spreadsheet full of like potential stories to do still. And not only that, I mean, we do subscriber stories, and they're not as popular as the actual recorded events, but I mean, there's always like a resource to pull on there. And then obviously going forward, we're looking at maybe launching another channel, similar vein to Bedtime Stories, but fictional stories. So there's always going to be content to write about. There's always going to be stories to do.
For sure. And are there any stories that you guys have? Actually, before I ask that question, here's one. I've always liked the Men in Black episodes. I think you did more than one. But what do you guys think the Men in Black are? Everyone has an opinion. We're stuck with them.
I would say if they do exist, I don't agree that they're alien sort of beings or reanimated corpses. I think it's one of the theories we've heard. I think they're possibly government agents that just kind of, they come to ask questions, really, not to intimidate, but who knows.
Simon.
I think that whatever they are, unfortunately, after God knows how many Will Smith movies, our perception of forever skewed now, so we're never going to know.
Mikey, what's a Man in Black?
I don't know, some supernatural stuff.
I like it. I love the different perspectives. Well, government employees can definitely be pretty damn boring. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're just really, really boring people. Or supernatural things. True.
Sorry, I have to go with a more rational.
No, I like it. It's one of the things that makes bedtime stories good, And with that, let's see. A question the audience had is, are there stories that you would like to do, but you don't have enough material to do it? But it's one of the things where you'd really like to do it, but there's just not enough to make a show out of.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper?
I think
Sorry, what was that, Mike?
Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, it's a famous case. And I don't know, I like this case, but it was overdone like a million times, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it comes back to that. Would people like to see it in the bedtime story style? It's not something I really want to do because I'm just bored by it because I've heard it so many times. But we should do a poll on it, really. I think.
Oh, it's true. Someone asked, is there going to be another graphic novel competition?
Yeah, we'll do another this year.
All right. And other than that, let's see. More questions. Well, that kind of starts to wrap it up. I mean, I don't want to keep you guys too long, but let me just make sure there's no more audience questions that I have missed. And what I'll while I'm searching to make sure I haven't missed anything, I'd ask, what is next for bedtime stories? I guess it's kind of seems like when we talked before, it's a little bit kind of covert and you can't say, but it seems like you guys are developing more stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be something coming up that's really big for bedtime stories, not for like an offshoot channel or anything like that. For bedtime stories, there's going to be something coming that's really exciting and really big, but we can't really say much about that. Yeah, it's really hard not to kind of.
Oh wow.
But,
Well, some people on the Discord definitely have some interesting comments on Mikey's glove, but I'll just leave those out. And other than that, let's see. Well, yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to ask you guys, and for the moderator, if I did miss any questions, if I haven't asked them, paste them in there again, and I'll make sure that I do. One question somebody asks is, what story? Well, I kind of asked it before, but what story creeped you guys individually out the most? Is there one that you particularly had a nightmare or two about, that sort of while you were creating it just didn't leave you alone? It kind of got to you?
Shadow people for me. And I'll be honest, one of the stories in that was actually mine and my girlfriend's story. But used with different names. That was mine and my girlfriend's. I'm not going to say which one, but it was mine and my girlfriend's experience. And yeah, that really, just talking about people in general kind of freaks me out, I suppose.
Oh, okay. So you're not completely stoic. All right, perfect.
No.
Good.
I think it was Bridge End for me. It was a script that was given to by Rich because it was quite problematic to do, and to present it in a respectful way, given the material that was there, was quite difficult. There were a lot of redrafts, and it's in a way, I suppose it was the least supernatural subject, but the most worrying, most concerning, and that one's stayed with me since I wrote it.
Yeah.
Mikey.
Yeah. I was thinking all this time. Hard to tell. I think I'm gonna repeat one more time, 100 times. Chernobyl for me, I think, is the most. Because, it was a catastrophe for me, and I even have some real friends who their relatives was there at that time, so they kind of tell me what really happened at that time and what facts was there.
And somebody asks, why did you take down a Lisa Lamb episode?
Oh, that's something I want to address, right? All the episodes that have been taken down were written by Dwayne Reynolds. And Dwayne personally requested that his episodes be taken down. So that's just the way it is. I think we might have to remake them and rewrite them under our moniker or whatever else. So, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, because people ask, what happened to the ones that are not there anymore. So that makes sense. So there's one question: will Bedtime Stories be holding any more submission competitions? And it sounds like the case is yes.
Yeah, okay, definitely. Yes. More submission. Okay. I really enjoy those competitions. Really, really enjoy reading through the submissions and stuff. So yeah.
Gotcha. And then now somebody asked, why was Wartime Stories made into a separate channel? But it's just a playlist, right? A separate playlist?
It's not a separate playlist. No. Luke, the guy who runs Wartime Stories, he's completely independent of Bedtime Stories, but he got in touch with us with this first episode that he made on the ghost blimp, I believe. And he was worried. I think he wanted our feedback because he wanted to make sure that we'd be happy with him releasing it. And I'm going to be completely honest, I was really pissed off. Really pissed off with the fact that, it looked so much like our channel and kind of sounded like our channel. But instead of being, creating any animosity there, I kind of thought, well, I could help this guy out actually, and he could probably help the brand out a bit more. So we kind of give him a hand up and said, well, do you want to make it into a sister channel? So it's all down to Luke, really. I mean, he's one guy working on his own. We're a team of 3 or 4 people working on bedtime stories. So you can understand why it's taken him so long to kind of produce each episode in turn. He's got to do all of the writing, all of the narration, all of the editing, and then he's got to do all of the artwork. So yeah, it's a difficult situation for him at the minute until he gets more help.
And then a question was, what got you started on YouTube? What caught your interest? What made you stick to it? So YouTube as an artistic medium.
It's just,
It's
it's the biggest. Yeah, it's there really. I mean, it's like Everest. It's the biggest outlet that you can kind of get for this kind of content, I think. So yeah, that's what made us kind of go with YouTube. Like I say, it was originally going to be a website, but the whole channel, what keeps me going is just that, that kind of promise that me and my brother had, and the whole channel is just kind of a dedication to him, and that's why it'll always be there in my heart, and it's not just about making money or whatever else. It's about a passion. I have the passion for it, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
I like it. So you guys have been locked down a bit more than we have. Some states here are still kind of locked down, and then of course some states are not so much. Here in Arizona, we're a bunch of cowboys. We don't really lock down anyway. So have you guys been stuck at home a lot more? And has being basically stuck at home, has that helped the creative process, or has that hindered it?
I go first.
Yes.
For me personally, nothing changed because before lockdown, same. I was at home working as other days, so nothing changed.
I think the nature of what we do and how we do it, lockdown hasn't made any difference. We come up with ideas, we research them. It's all a bit of a cottage industry, really. Everything we do is online or using computers. So leaving the house or not doesn't really affect it. We potentially got a little bit more time on our hands. No, I don't think it has, to be fair.
Makes sense.
It hasn't changed anything for me, really.
Okay, I like it. And here's one. Do you think that a problem many people might have is a lack of an interest in hobbies? Because, so like I mentioned, you guys have been locked down, you've been stuck at home more, but basically it didn't affect you that much. Your creative process continued, your interests continued. It seems to me that a lacking part of many people's lives, quite literally, are hobbies. They just don't have any interests. How do you think the interest in hobbies affects really the quality of a person's life? Because ultimately, bedtime stories, it's a hobby for you guys. Maybe it's also a passion, but every hobby is kind of a passion. And some people don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've got a lot of hobbies outside of this kind of, storytelling and thing. Obviously, I still like to play guitar and music and that, and I like to go and play golf and do the driving range kind of thing. I like to go play bowling with the family and that. But yeah, I don't really want to get into this too much because it's quite a divisive issue, really. People who are kind of anti-lockdown and kind of pro-lockdown and all that stuff. I don't really want to get into it because I don't want to kind of bring any attention to my views on it, really. But yeah, sorry, I'm kind of just going off.
Oh no, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's like
you are a little bit. I mean, I suppose the fact that Luke has managed to sort of emulate what we do with wartime stories has proven that if you've got the time and you can upskill and people can use YouTube to. I'm not trying to encourage people to come up and start competing with us, but we're in a place now whereby apps are available. If you have an idea, you can follow it and you can push it, perhaps more so now than you ever could before. So if people do have sort of hobbies or dreams, they can pursue them and put them out there for people to see. But I think the fact that we're over 500,000 subscribers now is a testament to how Rich has steered it and pushed it over the last 6 or 7 years.
Hmm. And then Mikey's hobbies are drawing and wearing a glove.
Yeah. Well, actually, for me, really, to be honest, drawing is like my job, my hobby, and my free time, kind of like that.
I like
yeah.
it.
See that door to his left. If you open that, that's full of chains and whips and like dungeons and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. For interviews, he only wears the gloves, but when he's not on camera, his whole body is,
Sorry, Mike.
He's in a suit. Oh gosh, yeah. Well, both of these could go. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. People ask, when is the second book coming? And I'll mention that, of course, if you're a Patreon, then there is a Bedtime Stories book, and people are asking, when is the second book coming?
Q2.
Q2 of this year. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then also people ask, any ideas for future bedtime? I'm sorry, I screwed that one up. Any ideas for future Bedtime Stories merchandise? You guys have some, of course.
We're not doing face masks. I can tell you that much.
Oh, not even like an official Mikey one?
We're not doing face masks.
All right. Wow. Well, let's see. So I think I got the audience questions that came in. Thank you to the moderator for fielding those. It's a big help because I really can't watch them scroll by. I was looking at the general chat and there's just no way to keep up with it. Last question I would ask is Bedtime Stories, of course, did you ever really think it would be, now success is hard to define, I know, but let's just say viewer base, audience interaction, if we were to use that as a measurement, an active Discord, etc., people sending you ideas for new shows and such, and just in general interest. I mean, did you guys think it would ever get this big? Did you just do it because you wanted to do it and you thought whatever happens happens? Did you have a vision of it quite exploding like this? And since it has exploded, since you do have a lot of followers, how has that affected the mission?
Personally, for me, I just wanted to tell stories. Originally, I started writing to scare my mates. Way back when, in the noughties and stuff, and that's how me and my brother came up with this idea. But yeah, sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just basically, well, it's late for you guys.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but of course, this is when you start working, so which you're doing now, obviously. So yeah, I mean, you just started it because you wanted to start it. You started it, and it grew quite a lot. And how has life changed since it's grown so much?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would never have expected, 500,000 subscribers at all at the start. But I did kind of entice Mikey into giving me a reduced rate on producing the artwork by saying, this could get really big one day, kind of thing. So I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was hopes there, but I'd never expected it would ever get to that point.
Do you think you're going to get to 1 million? Views? Yeah.
Of course. If the world doesn't go to crap, yeah.
Well, maybe they'll both happen. Maybe we'll go to crap and we'll get to 1 million. Both are pretty likely. So it sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, thanks so much for hopping on. And this has been great. I really, I was inspired by your channel. When I do watch it, it's funny. I oftentimes see a lot of X-Files influence. And I know that was definitely influential to me, as far as creatively over time. Before we sign off, now that I think of that, X-Files, I know it's a bit of a random question, but do you have a favorite season or a favorite X-File episode or a favorite theme of episodes? It helps people get to know like who you are.
I personally really liked the one with the it was the tree people. It was one of the later ones actually, because I really liked the first 3 seasons, but one of the later ones, I think it was season 7 or something like that. There was one with 3 people in the woods. They were kind of green with red eyes, and they could kind of camouflage themselves. I really enjoyed that one.
One again, it's a wood-related one. The one with the green bugs.
Yes.
Series 1 or series 2.
Swarm.
Where they sort of suck all the moisture out of your body. That's the one that sticks with me.
And Mikey, if you watch X-Files.
I watched X-Files when I was a kid, I remember. But now I'm not watching X-Files. But of course, I know this TV show.
Well, a question just popped in, and somebody asks, will Mikey have a personal experiences episode as well? The silent gloved one.
Why silent, guys? Why silent? Come on.
Yeah, no, actually.
To...
You're a man of few but powerful words. So I like it. I mean, yeah, that a personal experiences episode with Mikey, that'd be badass.
Okay, personal experience. Tomorrow episode have to be done, but I'm only halfway on it.
That's as personal as it gets. Okay. Wow. Well, it's been a pleasure, everybody. I can tell everybody's getting a little bit fidgety there, starting to run around the room. I've kept you guys up pretty late, and I definitely appreciate everybody hopping on. So it's been my pleasure talking to you guys. Thanks so much for hopping on. You know, people love your show. I love your show. It's great that people, through this can get to know you guys a little bit better. And, maybe we'll do this again sometime. We'll come up with some new questions. But like I say, thank you guys so much for being on. And any last thoughts? Anything you want to say as we sign off? Simon?
No.
Nope. Okay. Mikey? Nope. All right. Okay. And then Rich, I was just closing down the stream here and I was asking each person. I asked Simon and Mikey and they both said no. Any last thoughts as we close the stream to the people out there?
Don't eat yellow snow.
All right. Words of wisdom. All right. And from Arizona, don't walk, naked in the desert at night. All right. Well, other than that, everybody, you take care. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure and hope I talk to you guys again sometime. Bye. Radiant Creator signing out. Thank you, Bedtime Stories.
Bye.
You are listening to Radiant Creators, a collaborative project composed of people whose passion, purpose, and dedication requires forging their own unique path of empowerment and livelihood. A radiant creator isn't making a living, they are living.